The First World War was a period of immense turmoil, where empires fell almost overnight and millions of people took to defend their homelands. There were tales of bravery, heroism, and humanity, reminders that the war wasn't all mud and blood. And then there was this guy, Nikolai Robert Maximilian Freyer von Ungern-Sternberg, or the Mad Baron for short. Now, assuming you've read the title of this video, this guy held some ambitions that some may consider unnatural, and to make things simple, we'll just call him the Baron. But to fully understand the Mad Baron and his shenanigans, we'll need to go back in time to the late 19th century. By the 1890s, the Russian Empire was undergoing drastic change. Rapid industrialization meant that the nation was wealthier than ever, and with an expanding population came the need for greater welfare by the state. Though it had abolished serfdom in 1861, many Russian peasants still lived and died on the same farms as their ancestors, and poverty was the order of the day. Compared to other European nations like Germany, Britain, or even Austria-Hungary, Russia was seen as backward in many regards, and within a few decades, forces of change would begin to stir. But like every other great power at the time, Russia had a very traditional autocracy, made up of nobles from across the empire, and this is where the Mad Baron comes in. Born in 1886 to a Baltic German father and an Austrian mother, the Baron was the very personification of Russian nobility. He took great pride in his family's history and despised the peasantry, something which the revolution of 1905 only worsened as peasants destroyed noble estates. He spoke 5 different languages and also claimed descent from Genghis Khan's grandson, Batu Khan, through his Hungarian roots, which would play a big role in his desire to reforge Mongolia. So you may think this Baron fellow sounded alright. Well, this is where it gets interesting. Growing up, the Baron was basically a psychopath. He reportedly loved torturing animals for the fun of it, including strangling his cousin's owl simply because he could. He also enjoyed bullying other children, to the point where parents would label him a walking terror, so yeah, a great sign of things to come. In 1905, he got expelled for fighting with other students, and was sent off to the Far East to fight in the Russo-Japanese War. After that, he enlisted in a military school in St. Petersburg, where he became interested in Buddhism and Eastern religion. He then graduated as a cavalryman in Siberia and admired nomadic people in the region, including Cossacks and the Mongols. And throughout this time, he grew even more monarchist, believing that the Russian people could only prosper under a Tsar. So you might think it was good that the Baron had other interests aside from, killing animals and beating people, but you'd be wrong, because he still enjoyed all those things. And now with the added hobby of dueling people with swords, which resulted in a facial scar he would carry for the rest of his life. With the onset of the First World War, the Baron was posted along the Eastern Front, where he received loads of medals and became known for his violence and recklessness. And in 1917, he was then transferred to the Caucasus Front, where he fought against the Ottoman Empire, just before the February Revolution booted the Romanovs out of power, which the Baron saw as an act of blasphemy. But during his adventures against the Ottomans, he met Grigory Semenov, a Cossack commander, and the two quickly became friends. When the Bolsheviks seized power in October 1917, the Baron and Semenov travelled to the Russian Far East to fight in the new civil war. After a number of successes, he formed the Asiatic Cavalry Squadron and set up headquarters in the Transbaikal region. Smelling weakness, the Chinese government decided to launch an invasion of Outer Mongolia, which had declared independence during the fall of the Qing dynasty in 1911. The Mad Baron spotted an opportunity to set his plans to restore Russia's monarchy into motion, and after Semenov was defeated in 1920, he took matters into his own hands. With the help of his cavalry squadron, the Baron marched into Mongolia and tried to seize the capital of Urga but failed. But if there's a will, there's a way or some shit, because he captured Urga in early 1921 after a long and bloody skirmish. Now with the capital under his control, he decided to outlaw torture and embrace pacifism. Nope, just kidding. He looted every single Chinese store his troops could find and attempted to wipe out the local Jewish community, in true Mad Baron fashion. By this stage, the Chinese were in complete retreat, and the Baron sent his cavalry detachments to flush them out of Mongolia entirely, which happened just a month later. And with all of Mongolia free from foreign influence, the Baron declared the Bod Khan as the new ruler of the Mongolian Khanate, the successor to Genghis Khan's empire. And so he set about improving standards of living by instituting freedom of religion and public sanitation, and no, he actually did it this time. But he also still did his usual pastimes of torturing people and stuff, with close to 1,000 people dying throughout his rule, so I don't know, swings and roundabouts, I guess. In any case, by mid-1921 it was clear that the Bolsheviks would win the civil war, and with the loss of the White Russians in Siberia, the Baron was completely surrounded. Using an overwhelming military advantage, the Bolsheviks marched into Mongolia and destroyed the Asiatic Squadron. The Baron retreated, but his men realised that maybe following a psychopath wasn't the best option, and so immobilised him, if you know what I mean. After escaping 2 further assassination attempts, he was finally captured by his Soviet unit and executed by firing squad. And so ends the tale of Ungern Sternberg, the man who tried to roleplay a CK3 playthrough.